Here's another fairly vintage radio. It's not mine, it's another radio I've been asked to sell on behalf of my neighbour. But while it's here, I thought we'd take a look at it. There's still a fair few of these in use. I had one of these many years ago. And this is a Yaesu FT290 Mark 1, the first of the 290s. There was a later Mark II version. This dates from the early to mid 1980s. It's a multi-mode radio, FM, SSB and CW. It's 2.5 watts out. It can be powered from a 12 volt supply or internal batteries, and we'll see the internal battery case very shortly. Again, a fairly simple radio to operate. It's got an LCD frequency readout here and an analog S meter. You'll see that there's a telescopic whip here. Now when this is pushed fully in, you can connect an SO239 on the back and use this as a base radio. But with no external antenna, you can just pull this whip up and you've got the sort of all-in-one, basically a handset, but one that does SSB as well. Controls are very simple. We've got combined volume and squelch here. We've got a mode switch to switch between SSB, CW and FM. We can set FM for simplex or repeater use. We've got the main tuning knob here. We've got two LED indicators for busy and on air. And we've got a dial speed switch, a call button, memory switch because we've got 10 memories that we can switch on this knob here. Function button. We can switch in a clarifier for SSB use. We can alter the tuning step, and we have a VFO A and B switch also. So that's the front of the 290, and we've got two sockets on the side here, one for standby, which I think is for use with a linear amplifier, and we've got an external speaker socket there. And then right on the back we've got a switch here which switches the backlight in and out. We've got a noise blanket switch, and we've got a switch to switch between high and low power. Now high power is 2.5 watts on these radios. I'm guessing low power is about 0.5 watt, I'm not entirely sure. We've got an external power socket here. We've got a charger port. If you've got NiCads in the radio, you can charge them while they're sitting in the radio. And you'll see here we've got a little button that says lock and open, or a little switch, I don't know what you'd call it. I'll just flick that over to the open position and I'll show you. We can take the lid off the radio, and here we go. We've got the battery case, which takes what would that be, 8 C cells, I think they are 8 C cells to power that. As I say, it looks like you could put NiCads in here and actually charge them from the port on the back of the radio. So that's the FT290. We'll take a quick look at it in the shack. It's a little bit limited these days what you can do with one of these on FM, because it doesn't have CTCSS tone or anything like that, but it's still fine for SSB and simplex FM use. Right, we've got 8 C cells in this one now, so there we go, it powers up. You can see there's one issue with this radio that I'm aware of, and you can see that the S meter is hard over when you switch it on, drops back. It's not stuck or anything, but there's obviously an issue there. I'll see if I can turn the backlights off, and that should be, let's have a look. There you go, that's on that switch. Got the pull-out whip. Let's drop the squelch, and we can dial through the bands here in 12.5 kc steps. Right, I'm not in a good spot here, but I should be able to hear the local repeater on 145750 on the whip. So I'll take you outside in a moment, and although I won't be able to fire the repeater up from this radio because it doesn't have CTCSS, we should be able to receive the repeater. Okay, we should actually be able to do this from the conservatory here. So what I'm going to do on my trusty Baofeng, I'm going to key the repeater up, the local repeater. The volume on this radio is turned right down, so anything we hear will be coming from this radio. So let's give it a go. Okay, so that's not bad at all. It's just on its whip, and I'm in a pretty poor location for VHF here anyway. So it's picking the repeater up. We won't be able to access it because we can try transmitting a tone here. There we are. Somebody calling through the box now. Got a nice sound from it. But you'll see the S meter is just static there. It's just hard over. So there it is, the FT290 with its telescopic whip. This one also came with a sort of a helical here, helical whip, which will just screw in place of the telescopic. Not as efficient, but probably a little bit more practical if you're carrying the radio around. FT290R Mark 1 from the 1980s.